Hello, everyone. Welcome to the first edition of the MCCIC Podcast. I'm here with my co-host Baccs or Shoto, and then
Hello.
we've got our first guest in Lunix Live or Lux. How is
Hello.
everyone here today?
I'm good. How are you, Lem?
I'm very well. I'm very well today. So one of the first things that I wanted to just ask you is, could we get a good introduction from you, Lux, and more about you?
Yes, of course. As you introduced, I am Linux Live or Lux. I am the admin for MCCIC. Um, and I currently run my own SMP and Twitch, as well as a film and editing student at college.
Oh,
Ah,
cool. So
that's really cool.
yeah, how is the Twitch stuff going for you right now?
I've taken a short break from streaming, to work on my college work, like my video essays, which
Yeah.
will be coming back fairly shortly. And I'm 2 followers away from 100 followers, so I'm very excited for that.
Oh, well done,
I
well done.
so should we get along with the questions, Large?
Yeah, let's go ahead. Do you want to start?
Yeah, I'm fine with that. So first thing, I think everyone's excited for this is the upcoming MCCIC tournament. So can you give us a little info about it? Like how are the teams built and like if there's any like we can say team colors that we should look out for or anything like special you guys are doing for this event?
Um, for this event, while I am not a main host, I have been helping with the team building, and also what the team names are. I believe Flame and Yogg are doing this weird riddle thing, so I won't give too much away about the names of the teams. The team building, however, I'm happy to talk more about as it's something I actually made. Um, what we do is we take unmultiplied averages from everyone, including when you're subbed in. So, for example, if you are subbed in during Hole in the Wall and then not for the rest of the tournament, we still use those scores as it's still proof of your ability. And we split it up where there's averages, your battle box average, your to get to the other side average, sky battle average, and hole in the wall average. We do this so we can find the best possibly balanced teams, so it's not like 3 movements and 1 PvPer, or 3 VPPers and 1 movement. We
Yeah,
try
because
and
that's
find a good balance, if that makes sense.
yeah, that's
Yeah.
something you want to try and avoid. If you have a team that's absolutely insane at hole in the wall, and that's a game that's usually played in the latter half, then they're very likely to be the winner, and that's something that you've recently tried to change, isn't it?
Yeah. The previous team builder we used, which was something Yogg made, was still efficient, but it wasn't updated as much and it didn't give the full kind of stat information I felt we needed. So I
Yeah,
changed it basically.
yeah.
All right.
Done a
So
very good job, as we saw from the last tournament. I think that was one of the most balanced
yeah,
ones
that
we'd
was
seen.
one of the most balanced tournaments I've played against. It was really enjoyable, and the teams just felt like it was perfectly balanced. I couldn't like complain about anything. I felt like it was
I'm
just perfectly balanced.
I'm so glad people enjoyed it, and I'm so glad to hear positive feedback about the balancing. It is something I always try to do. Balance teams well while also having good vibes. So hearing people had so much fun is always a good thing.
Yeah, I know. Me, Bax, and our producer Prospect here had a really good time in our team.
Yeah, it was really fun.
So, moving on from that, on a more personal standpoint, what are some teams that you would like to see in the future with maybe yourself and people you haven't teamed with?
Um, Honestly, I'm not 100% sure. I try to team with new people, or people that I haven't talked to as much whenever I get to play. Like for example, Fui. I'm good friends with Fui, but I haven't teamed with Fui yet.
Yeah,
I'd love to team with Fui. Um, Not just because he's good at the game.
yeah.
um,
Few I've interacted with before. He seems nice.
yeah, he really is. There isn't really people that stand out to me of like people who I would want to team with dead set because there's so many people I
Yeah.
want to team with and there's so many combinations I can have to have a good time. There's just so many people.
Now, in a similar vein, what is the team that you've had that you really enjoyed the most?
Oh, that's quite interesting because I've enjoyed a lot of the teams I've been on. If I were to say, probably the team I had with Eves, Bunder, and Noxicate, the Red-Nosed Reindeers.
Oh,
Oh yeah,
Um, I really enjoyed that team, and I really want to run it back one day. I
that's
that
it
does sound a little OP, but still, that's actually looks like a vibey team.
it
yeah,
when we did play, it was around Christmas. It was so much fun. We didn't play super high. We placed around 8th or 9th, I believe, but it was so much fun. It was amazing. It was one of the best teams I'd been on.
That's really good. So Large, do you have any more questions, or
yeah,
should we?
yeah, yeah. So you've been as long as I've been here, you've been one of the main mods of the server. When did you become a mod and how did it come about?
I believe I became a mod around October time, October
Yeah,
November. Uh, roughly around that time. So I have been in the staff pretty much since I'd say it's early days.
yeah,
Uh, I from what I would say, anyways. I love being a part of the staff. It can be stressful. Uh, it's given with the kind of community we have and the kind of tournaments we run.
Yeah, yeah, 100%.
Um, Nothing against the community, just sometimes people can be very stressful. Sometimes people can be a bit over the top, and you know, it's something you have to deal with when you're in that big of a server.
oh yeah. So outside of this whole Minecraft community, I'm a manager at my work, so dealing with people is just always going to be a stressful thing, no matter what you're doing. Like,
Yeah,
people are always gonna be there's always gonna be a couple people that are gonna be difficult, but dealing with it well is something that is a difficult thing.
yeah. I have quite a lot of experience of managing Discord servers,
Yeah.
managing SMPs. I used to own an SMP quite a few years ago that had about 1,000 members.
Oh
Uh,
Whoa.
my.
it was at its peak, anyways. That was it was at its peak COVID time. It was something I really loved having, and it's something I loved the community of. And when I found MCCIC, and when I became staff at MCCIC, it was like similar to that community in a sense of everyone is so welcoming, so nice. Everyone genuinely wants to be good to others, if that makes sense.
That's one
Yeah.
of the great things about Minecraft I've always found is all these small communities you can find. Like, I was a solo gamer for a very long time. Like, I used to just grind survival Minecraft. And then when MCC Island came about, that's when I first started finding these different communities and like really having a lot more fun with the game.
Yeah. I used to be a hardcore player. I used to play
Oh wow.
hardcore. Um and when MCCI came about, I started making a lot more friends. Which is something I
Yeah,
always
same.
try to have. I have very bad social anxiety, so having more friends
I think a lot of
always
people here in this community do.
always a bonus to have more friends.
Yeah. So
So
you
back.
mentioned, oh, go ahead, go ahead.
All
Sorry.
right. So I wanted to ask. So back into we want to go back into MCCIC. So I was wondering, there's always these tournaments run perfectly well, but is there anything that you personally, as Lux, would like to change about how the tourneys are ran, or anything specific, like as in team building, or just how the game vote? Is there anything specific that like you as a person would like to change about the how the events are ran?
There are a few ideas that I have had. One of the things being the game selection. It's something that has been since the start of the tournaments when Flame was the only person running the tournaments of the voting and then the wheel. When more games get introduced, I would like to incorporate a different voting style. Where you in similar to MCC, where you just vote for the game you'd like to play and not incorporate the wheel.
Yeah.
Um, and have, like Prospect suggested, the game that was last in a previous tournament, it be the first game the next tournament. It's I always find with voting, it tends to follow the same order. It's either the two movements last
Yeah.
or all the time.
The
Yeah. I
thing
feel
is,
like. Go on,
I
Raj.
don't even think people are that good at like that's bad at PvP. I think they're always just scared of another team in PvP that causes that. Like you'll get good PvP teams that vote for movement later because they're scared of that one or two teams.
And I think it's
Yeah.
also Hole in the Wall gets voted last a lot just because of
Yeah,
how many points it
love that
gives.
game. Love that game.
Yeah, and I feel like MCCI, I mean, is like more ran by movement players. Even though I see like Sky Battle and Battle Box as like the most popular games, but I feel like when these small communities form as these tournaments, it's always the movement players that just take over. I find it really interesting because we barely see the games as active, but when you come to the tournaments, it's just ran by the movement players. I find it like kind of crazy to
Well,
me.
that's only gonna get worse when Parkour Warrior comes about, really. When Parkour
Oh,
Warrior comes about, the movement players are gonna clean house in these
rise
tournaments, I'm
up.
telling you.
Rise up, they'll rise up. They'll rise out
Yeah.
of the shadows. I feel a lot of people have more gone to the backbone into playing more casually with MCCI because of the lack of updates, and I feel when open beta comes out, God help our souls with
Oh dear.
tournaments.
Yeah, there's gonna be a bench of like 150 people.
Well, we tend to get about 120 or plus signups each tournament, so that's only going to go up when open beta comes
Yeah,
out.
Yeah,
exactly.
I also wanted to ask about the signups. How do you come about choosing who plays and who doesn't play? Do you guys focus more on newcomers to come and play first, or do you guys focus on more experienced players to keep on playing as
Uh,
a first priority?
Back before the new team builder, we kind of just stuck whatever would balance well. We didn't really prioritize newcomers or casual players or people that play in every tournament. We just kind of stuck people and be like, okay, this will be balanced. On to the next one. Now, however, we tend to introduce more newcomers because we came up with a problem where the less newcomers are in tournaments and they keep signing up, it's harder to put them on a team in future balanced tournaments. Which is where
Yeah, because
collaborating.
I
Oh,
found,
go ahead.
yeah, sorry, yeah, I found for me that I've had that same sort of personal experience where I've gone to other servers, signed up for a few tournaments, not got in, so I've just eventually stopped signing up.
What we do is we collaborate with other tournament servers, like Rotom, for example. Rotom has been a
The
huge
goat.
help in getting scores for people that sign up to MCCIC that have potentially signed up in other servers Rotom is in. It's always a huge help collaborating with different MCCI servers so that we can best balance teams when doing sign up. Well, when sorry, I confused my words there. When balancing teams based on the signups. To answer the question of how we pick it, however, it is not a case of oh, we don't want this person in, they're not going to be
Yeah,
in.
yeah.
We tend to get about 10 to 15 newcomers. Uh 10 being pretty much the solid number we come up with sometimes. Sometimes we'll add 12, sometimes we'll add 11, but we always try and stick it to above 10.
That's
Um,
quite good because that makes most teams at least have one newcomer, so it doesn't damage a team much, really.
yes, yes. In terms of more casual players and the people who play consistently, we tend to look more towards the balancing aspect of in that regard. So someone that consistently plays and has a high average may not balance as well compared to someone who plays consistently but doesn't have a high average. It is completely dependent on what we feel balances well, and then from there, we tweak it to okay, would these people vibe well together? If they don't, let's maybe swap a few combinations around and see what we feel could get the best possible outcome, which is what we did last time.
Yeah, I feel like that's really reasonable. But
Yeah.
anything you want to add on, Large?
No, but I did. We mentioned a couple of times about the SMP and how you used to be a hardcore player. Would you like to tell us a bit about that?
Sure. Currently I run an SMP called Small Life, which you're actually a part of, Lem.
I am.
It is a twist on Grian's Third Life series
Absolute
where
banger.
we take between 2 and 6 lives, multiple boogies, and multiple random events each session. It's kind of a twist on the Third Life series. It's something that people are using for their Twitch channels, for their YouTubes, like Bunda, for
Huh.
example.
Yes,
Uh,
Bunda's been streaming it a lot, and go watch it if you want to check it out. It's really fun, and it would be a
But
good watch.
but is the SMP a for fun SMP, or is it like something like Dream SMP, like it has lore and like roleplay
No,
people?
it's entirely for fun from my experience. So like there are
yeah.
some people that obviously you do kind of want to win, but it's entirely for fun.
All right.
It is a for fun event. SMP. There are a few members that have taken their sessions and started making little lore recaps, which I just find so interesting to read because I love like reading creative writing like that. It's just for fun mainly. It is
All right.
all for fun. It's just a bunch of friends going on an SMP and having a good time, potentially making content together.
Yeah, from my experience, it's fantastic. So is there any like thing different from you running the SMP versus you help run these tournaments that you found difficult?
I'd say the thing that I found difficult is probably managing staff.
Yeah,
With Small Life, there's a very limited number of staff compared to MCCIC, and because I have the console, I tend to make the priority decisions,
yeah,
as well as owner, and it's not that I don't trust my fellow admins in Small Life. It is I am going to be the only person with op, and sometimes when my internet goes out, that does prove to be difficult compared
yeah.
to MCCIC. Whereas if my internet goes out, there's people that can pick up for me if I'm not there.
So essentially, a lot of the pressure here is on you, whereas in MCCIC you have a lot of
More
people to
people.
share the responsibilities.
Yeah.
Yeah, Yog and Flame are definitely two people. Well, obviously, they love MCCIC, and the three of us are a really good admin team. And when
Yeah.
it comes,
May I just say, by the way, that Flame does a fantastic work with all like the inside of like the Discord stuff and how it's laid out. Like that is like he does that very
yeah,
well.
Yeah, it's well organized.
Flame does that very well. Flame is very organized. Flame even helped with the overall stat sheet that I made quite a few weeks ago as well in the
Ooh,
organization of that.
love a spreadsheet.
um, but with Flame and Yog and myself, we're a admin team of three, and they all depend on each other. I go on a break for a few weeks, and the server doesn't die.
Yeah.
And when Flame and Yog go on their break for their exams in a few weeks, the server won't die while I'm there.
Yeah, but it's gonna be a tough time for either of you without having your support.
Yeah.
Very, very luckily, when they go on break, I don't have any projects.
Yeah. So
Okay. Yeah.
you've got time.
So I've got a lot of free time. Plus, I know there are mods that I can depend on to pick up the slack if I'm inactive during the day and more active during the night.
Yeah.
So there's a question that came up a couple minutes ago from someone that I can't really say. What are your opinion about these small factions in MCCIC? As for example, like the B Day boys in Heyday. Anything you want to like share about that?
Yeah,
I
and
think
like the
that
beta testers.
honestly, I never really considered that much thought. In my opinion, I just considered that friend groups that want to team together or have a lot of fun that found themselves through MCCIC. Like beta testers, for example. I'm considered an honorary beta tester because I'm friends with Plush, Cat, and Brandini, and I think event.
Yeah.
um, I don't really have an opinion on them because the way I view them is, oh, they're just friend groups that found themselves. I find that really heartwarming. Cool. I don't really
Yeah.
have a set opinion of either negative or positive. It's just, oh, that's cool. Friend groups. Nice.
I just find it kind of wholesome and nice that they've like given themselves a name and like they're synonymous with each other. So
Yeah.
like for instance, you see like Bamsey and Ushi and Dabmaster, you're gonna see them a lot together in all these different discords, and it's just quite nice to see that they found their group to go around together with.
Yeah, I also suppose as well is it's kind of um you know who they are when you see them.
Yeah,
Like in Sky Battle, for example, if you see Bamsey, you think, oh, that's Bamsey, that's a birthday boy, and
yeah,
then
exactly.
you know people because you know of the groups as well. I mean, I've had a few people who I don't even know who they are go, "Hi, Ludix." I'm like, "Who the fuck are you?"
Oh, I get that a lot. I get that a lot.
I mean, it's probably because MCCIC is just what 2,000 members, 1,000 members, somewhere around those
Yeah, it is
lines. It's
pretty
like
big.
it's a massive server.
We are the second biggest
The
MCCI
second,
server. Yes, S
who's
tier
the
is the
first?
first. S tier.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
They
God,
have 2,300, and I believe we have 1,300.
You guys are gonna. I think in open beta the numbers are gonna be switched, but we'll
yeah,
see.
I think
We'll see when that
yeah, I
happens.
think in open beta, well, obviously because S tier primarily focuses on like Sky Battle more than anything. I think the aspect of all games will attract more newcomers than just Sky Battle.
Hopefully, I do have a lot of plans for when open beta does come out to get MCCIC out there.
Yeah,
Um,
so that's interesting that because you've just hired well, I say hired or took on a bunch of new staff and a media and art team. Is that somehow involved in that?
Yes, that is. I have had a project for some time that I've wanted to commit myself to. However, I am one person. I cannot do it alone. So a media and art team is something I have wanted for quite a few weeks now to do this kind of project, which I will kind of explain a bit about. I want to expand MCCIC's presence online. I want to start posting to the YouTube. I want to make shorts for a TikTok. I want to get the
Oh,
name out there so people will see it and will join, and we can continue to expand the community that we've made.
so like a media manager. Oh,
Yes.
really interesting.
Yes.
Honestly, I feel like that's
Uh
gonna work out for you guys because the amount of people like, or at least I see on TikTok, like once in a while I always see like an S tier post something. I'm like, oh, what the hell? I've never really watched Minecraft TikToks, but they just pop in. So I feel like since you guys have such a big community, if we start posting that, it's just gonna expand dramatically. So it's gonna really
yeah,
help you guys.
I have noticed as well. Minecraft clips do tend to blow up on social media. And what my goal is to make an MCCIC trailer with the help of the media and art team as well as the staff as a whole, and then start posting clips and feedback and pre-shows and after shows, things that will garner attention to MCCIC, that if a person online saw this video in the recommended, clicked it because it looked cool, watched it, then thought to themselves, I want to join this community. This community looks awesome. This community has a well-run staff. And then more members, more people signing up to the tournaments, more people making friends with each other. It's a cycle that I want to encourage.
Yeah, it's an overall positive force on the community, really. That's what it is.
Yes.
I'm not sure
That's it.
if Large has asked this yet, but I feel like how do you guys choose the staff application? As it, for example, you just have a new art and media team. Is there anything you like stands out for you guys and be like, okay, this person knows what they're doing. This stands out for me. I think this person will be a perfect fit to our staff team. Is there anything you guys like look in particular?
I'll use one example from the recent staff applications. Chris the Guy 5.
Ah,
Chris
yes.
Chris applied for mod, event organizer, and tournament helper in the staff applications, and we felt, okay, that's someone who wants to apply for all three. It's very unlikely that they'll get all three. And then you read the application, it's so well thought out. There's a lot of ideas, there's a lot of things that can help the tournaments and the server in general. For example, Chris is part of staff of multiple different servers.
Yeah, I was going to
So
mention that.
we can use Chris and go, hey, Chris, do you know these people? Have they played in Hole in the Wall Dojo, for example? And if Chris goes, oh yeah, they have, here's some stats for you, then it kind of helps with the building of the tournaments. It's also someone that's experienced with MCCI tournaments and also familiar with MCCI communities that we felt would be a good person to interview. Then we go to the interview stage where we get people who we like their applications and give them more questions, give them scenarios, ask for their feedback on the server in general. And from there, we then look at all the notes that we took and go, okay, why would this person be good? What can this person bring to the staff? What does this person not bring to the staff?
Yeah,
It's
because people need to, if they're going to be part of the staff, you've already got some really solid staff members. They surely need to add something that isn't already being covered.
yes, not necessarily that as well, but it's like Froma, for example. Froma in the interview was saying about being a team checker, someone that knows a lot of the good players in the community, can look over the balanced teams and think, okay, this isn't an accurate average to use for this player, even though they're new. You need to use a different stat, use this stat instead, and put them on this team instead. It's
Yeah, Froma's really intelligent in that matter and like knowing the high level players.
And I
yeah,
feel like he's well known in the community that he's probably
Yeah,
like knows a lot. So
yeah,
oh,
exactly. Everyone knows
definitely.
Froma, and Froma knows everyone.
Definitely. It's more or less it's a thought process of who do we think would be a good fit based on their application to go into an interview, and then from the interview, who do we think is a best fit from there?
Yeah,
We don't really have a set criteria because each application is different, each person is going to be different. No person is going to be the same, and we want to take each and every person as an individual and treat them fairly.
yeah, that makes sense.
so
It's similar to any
Lux,
other job.
yeah. So Lux, how do you guys view the other tournament servers? As in like ICC, MCCIT, MCCI
Yeah,
champions? Do you guys like feel there's like a bit of rivalry, or do you just guys like build upon each other and just like like share ideas with one another and just like try to build?
we we have a good relationship with a lot of different tournament servers. For example, we are closely knit with MCCI Champions, Hole in the Wall Dojo, MCC Island Tournaments, Adventures, MCCI's the other side. We're in a server with the admins of owners of those servers where we come together, talk about
Oh,
ideas, try not to overlap
oh
tournaments as
wow,
well. That is
there's a
something.
council.
There's a council. It's called the Syndicate, actually.
Oh wow, you're
um,
leaking the syndicate.
no, it's fine, it's fine, it's fine, it's fine, it's fine. We work together. Like, for example, we try not to overlap tournaments. That's something we've had a huge struggle with in the past, where tournaments have been set on the same days. So we try to like talk about, okay, MCCIC wants to do a tournament on this day. Does anyone else want to do a tournament on this day? And they go, oh yeah, we want to do one. Then we work out a time that would be best for both tournament servers, and then work from there on what we can do to help each other.
Yeah, because we don't want to
We
kill MCC Island.
no, we don't. That already happened when Estia accidentally had a tournament on the same day and couldn't change it, unfortunately.
Oh,
I talked with Flo, who was the owner at the time, about trying to change it or making a tournament earlier, and they were like, we physically cannot do it because of our own schedules. And that killed the server. That was like 900 people on at the same time. It was awful.
yeah, I think I remember that. I remember a lot of lag.
There
yeah, but that's
is
actually yeah. Go on, Lux.
also talk. Oh, I don't know what happened. I don't know what happened there.
Mm,
Intervision. there is
yeah, I
also
can
there
continue.
is also talk of a possible cross
Ooh,
tournament thing. It was something that was mentioned quite a few months ago. Uh,
I think
around the
I've seen Chris talk about this. I think I've heard Chris
around
talk.
around the time of December, when there were a lot of tournaments in MCCIC, we proposed a cross tournament, and that is something that has kind of been put on the backbone quite recently. But that is something that could happen in the future. Oh, now Prospect is gone.
And we need him.
Oh, we need
Yeah.
the recorder.
Yeah. Do you
I
wait?
think it's because
Yeah.
I think so. I think it's because like
Alright.
I think it's because idle for too long.
Oh yeah, he was. All right. So you okay, Prospect? You AFK'd.
Yeah.
All right. So I
How
want
do
to.
we
Can you tell us
continue?
more about this cross tournament with different events, or are you not
Uh,
allowed?
there's not a lot I can talk about because there's not a lot actually there. Like I said, it has been put on like the backbone of everyone's shoulders because of their own tournament servers, their own like exams, midterms, things like that.
I
It
think
is. Go ahead,
I
Len.
think this would be a great possibility to do an all-stars style event. Is because a lot of these servers have had like what, maybe 13 tournaments max, so doing an all-stars tournament isn't necessarily viable. But if all the tournaments come together and we have just a bunch of winning teams of all won tournaments, that could be really exciting to play in and see.
What a plan was we would have qualifying rounds where for about a month and a half people we'd host a tournament where you qualify. You cannot, if you qualify, however, in like MCCIC for example, you can't go to Hole in the Wall Dojo and try and qualify
Yeah,
there. If you've already qualified, you're not allowed to participate
yeah,
until the finals, where the qualifying teams will basically fight for the winner. That was an idea tossed around. I don't know if it's gonna actually happen or not. Because again, been put on the backbone, but it is an idea that I thought of, and I thought that could be interesting to play with, maybe. But it
yeah.
is cross tournament. Cross tournament is something I do want to do in the future with
Yeah,
Flame and the other
like,
servers.
do you It's still on about cross tournament, but it's like you get different Is this like what you're talking about? Like you get representatives from, let's say, for example, MCCIC. You just get like representatives that represent MCCIC and like go against the other servers, or is
So
it
Almost like a
something
World
different?
Cup.
what we would
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
what we would do is in a qualifying tournament, we'd let anyone sign up. Anyone can sign up if they want to. They would play a typical MCCIC tournament, and then I believe my idea was the top 4 teams would then go on to the finals, and they would represent MCCIC.
Oh, so like a wow, so like a World Cup. That's actually sick.
Yeah, that would be really cool. Um, so like a lot of these servers, like they all have different like rules and like stuff like that. And something I've seen in MCCIC is you're one of the servers that's less scared to experiment with different ideas. So, for instance, you're changing the base multiplier on Sky Battle and the adding 8 votes to the game that was played previously. You are experimenting with different ideas where a lot of these tournaments they're not as confident in doing that. How has that gone? Is it just suggestions from the entire staff team, or is there someone that signs off on all these changes at the end?
So what we kind of deal with these changes is, I will say, we're not scared to experiment. We want to provide the best tournaments that we possibly can for the community. For
Which I think you do.
example, Modifier Mayhem.
Yes, W
we
tournament.
we really wanted that to work. It was something we thought would be such an interesting and fun concept, and it didn't go to plan. We may revisit it in the future when we feel more stable and have more ideas for how it could work and how we feel, okay, this could work now. We don't need to rush this. Um
Yeah, because there was some good ideas in there. Like there were some of the things there that were a really good idea. Like I know the staff sabotage was something I found really funny and a really good idea.
I actually got selected for staff sabotage into
Yes,
Pig's team. That was so
yeah,
much fun.
exactly. Yeah, there's some fun ideas in there that you could certainly bring back.
However, with our suggestions, it's either comes from suggestions from staff, from the feedback, for example, or someone saying, "Hey, I have a suggestion for you. I think you should do this." Or if in our staff interviews, someone suggests something, and then me, Yog, and Flame go off into a little admin VC and go, okay, let's take a look at these ideas. How can we do these? Are these good ideas? What can we do for these? Could this work? Could this not work? I know
Yeah.
one thing that came up a lot was the frequency of our tournaments.
Well,
Sorry,
I was
guys.
gonna get on
I've,
to.
yeah, go ahead, Baccs.
Yeah, I was gonna say, we've seen a lot that the tournaments just come out at the random, and I was about to ask, by any chance, or like, is there a plan that you guys are coming up with to like schedule the tournaments beforehand instead of just thinking about, oh, this might be a good time, we just might do it then?
Glad you asked. We have a spreadsheet of a schedule. We
Yeah.
plan the dates of tournaments. We note them down, like, okay, would these dates work for people? And then at the time, if they do, we'd note them down. It's a bit more difficult right now because MCC is back, so we might have to change a few dates around. But we have a schedule where, okay, we want to do a balanced on this one, a chosen tournament on this one, half canon on this one. For example, I'm planning a Pride event around
Oh,
June,
yes.
July time. That's
Can
something.
that be chosen? I think that has to be a chosen event.
You'll find out when
We'll
the
find
standards
out.
come
We'll
out.
find out. But that has to be.
I can't spoil anything, man. I can't spoil too much now. I'd
But
risk my job.
however, you mentioned the actual MCC, so we've got one of those coming just round the corner in MCC Scuff. Is there
Yeah.
anything that you are expecting to see, or that you're going to predict to try and see?
I basically think it could go either one of two ways. In my mind, it's either gonna play out like a silly tournament with really silly rules,
I hope
or
so.
modify a mayhem where there's just a bunch of random things that could happen at any
or
time.
or God forbid, both.
Ah, no, a silly modifier mayhem. God help us all.
That is an abomination of an idea.
Um, we try to when scheduling though, we do try to be flexible with our dates because of different tournament servers, like private ones, MCCIG for example, public ones like Hole in the Wall Dojo, MCCIT, the other side. We try to be as fluid as possible, if that makes sense.
Yeah, be adaptable because a lot of stuff goes on and a lot of things might need to change.
Yeah. We we do want to be more frequent.
Yeah,
We have had a lot of people, especially on staff interviews, say there should be frequency. However, we need to find a good balance for that because back in December, November time, there was no balance. We were punching out a tournament every 2 weeks. December had like 3 tournaments, I think.
yeah.
Jesus.
I don't think in a month you ever want to do above two just based on the fact that it was. I found like what at least one of those tournaments for me in December is a little forgettable because there was free.
Yeah.
Whereas the rest of the tournaments, when there's like a 2-3 week gap between them, I enjoy that because it's like it's something I look forward to each time.
uh in a staff meeting that's going to be probably soon, I probably will talk about the frequency if we can possibly up the frequency, but it depends how well received that is by the staff.
Yeah,
So
because they're the one that are gonna work on it. Go ahead,
so
Max.
I got a question. How are you guys gonna change like how you guys gonna host tourney events when open beta comes out?
uh as of right now, we have no plans to change how the tournaments are run and how we the method we have now works. We feel it works specifically because of the last tournament that went very well. The method and the plans we have worked, and we want to stick with things that we know will work because of the community enjoyment. We are obviously going to experiment with things.
Oh,
Max is gone now.
I gotta
Yeah,
start moving.
fine.
Yeah, stop moving your head.
Got to
We'll
be ADHD
obviously
like me.
we will obviously experiment with things like the Sky Battle multiplier, to try and bring the best possible things to the community. But as of right now, things won't change when open beta comes out.
Yeah.
They may change because of the new games or new features or private games even. When private games come out, we will still follow the same template, but they'll be private.
Yeah, I'd
No
actually
Is
more
it
like to.
confirmed? Is it confirmed for private games,
uh
or are we just
private
praying?
private games have been confirmed to come. We don't
Ooh.
know when, but whenever they do
Or
show up,
what?
we don't know
We
what
don't
they'll
know
be
how
or
it's gonna
what.
be.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Our hope is that when private games come out, we can prevent a lot of like the queue dodging and
Yeah.
people missing queues or people purposefully waiting seconds or queuing early. We want to prevent that as much as possible to make the most fair tournament. So when private games come out, it's going to be a huge help.
So I wanted to add on to something like that. When new games releases, when the new games release, like for example, Parkour Warriors coming soon, or hopefully, do you guys plan on just playing every MCCI game, or are you guys gonna keep the same thing, like play 3 games of each, but you guys just choose 4 games?
Uh from what I have thought to suggest is when the two new games come out, is we up it to 5 games so that one game will not be played in that tournament, similar to how MCC is run, where one game doesn't get played.
Oh,
Uh,
okay.
I
so
like that.
for example, oh,
Oh,
bye, Lem.
I have not been idle. That is not true.
So for example, when Parkour Warrior and this new game comes out that we don't know about, people may vote for Hole in the Wall not to play in one tournament, and then the next one they may vote for Sky
That'll
Battle to
be.
not be played.
It'll be a sad
It
moment when Hole in the Wall isn't played.
um honestly, it just depends on how open beta runs and what we feel would be the best for the community and the
Because
tournaments.
that's something I'm quite interested in. Because like the new game, we don't even know if it's going to be viable to use in tournaments. It might be a simple like duel style game. You don't know.
Yeah,
Like it might not reward points. We might have to create our own point system for it. Like
yeah.
there's so many different things that we don't know how these new games are gonna appear on our screens, so we don't know how to adapt it to a tournament.
Definitely. There's a bit of uncertainty surrounding that game.
Bomb
So
game.
the bomb game. So we kind of while we have some ideas, we're kind of holding back a bit until we get more information about open beta
Yeah,
and when that'll be.
Yeah.
because that'll also be interesting. Is because there's only 4 games. That's the main reason why you have to do 3 rounds of each. So it's like
Yeah,
when but to like balance things out, if we end up playing more games, which like say I don't think it's the idea. I think the idea is to skip a game. If you end up playing more games, you might want to reduce some of the amounts of rounds played. Like if you're playing 5 games, the scores could be crazy.
yeah, definitely. It's a lot of things to talk about and a lot of things to think through that we have started thinking through, but actual proper discussions won't be
Yeah,
held until a release date for
yeah.
open beta.
You need more info. Something I actually wanted to talk about as well in terms of these tournaments is how this 2.5 times Sky Battle multiplier could go, because it
Oh,
could
good question.
literally it could go either way. It could either be way too much or perfect, and I'm not sure.
The way I view it is completely dependent on when Sky Battle is played.
Yes, if it's late, oh my god, 4.5 times.
That is kind
It
of
Gee,
crazy.
it is completely dependent on when it's played, and I feel in this upcoming tournament it will probably be played late game because it has that multiplier. Um
that's gonna be fun
I
though. That's gonna be really fun.
I did not decide to do that multiplier base. I did feel it needed to be upped a bit, and I'm happy to experiment with the 2.5. If we need to lower it, so be it. The
In a
main
conversation
reason,
I had
yeah,
with, I think, Caution Tape, I had a conversation with. I think we said that a nice middle ground would be 2.2, something like that, 2 point like times 2, because 1.8 is like it's not strong enough, but it's not far off, you know?
yeah,
It just feels like it's jumped up a lot.
it has definitely jumped up. It's something to experiment with.
Yeah, exactly.
We never know how a tournament could play out because even though you may vote for it to be played last, the wheel could decide, hey, it's gonna be first. That's the kind of uncertainty and randomness that I quite like with our voting system right now. If it needs to be tweaked, it will definitely be tweaked. I will be one of the first people to say if it needs to be tweaked or not. I am not afraid to say to the staff, hey, this needs to be changed.
Yeah.
Okay, it does depend on how it goes. The reason it had a 1.8 multiplier to begin with is because Sky Battle is so not rewarding for its coins.
Yeah. It's like, because that is probably one of the game that I feel requires some of the most skill.
Yeah,
I don't like, obviously there's some RNG aspects such as like not getting the best loot or whatever, but you can. I think is the game that requires the most skill.
I would say so. I see people like doing like cobweb creepers and levies and trick shots when they're using a levy, and I'm just like, how the hell do you do that?
My brain doesn't work quick enough for that.
Oh no, neither does
Back,
mine.
backs over here will do stuff like that, but not me.
Anything you want to add, Large, or any questions?
No. I think I've got one last question before we wrap things up. So MCC Scuff coming up. Who are you going to be watching, and who do you think is going to win?
I will probably be watching Grian or Pete. Those are my go-to watchers for MCC. I don't know who's gonna win. I haven't given it a lot of thought because I don't normally watch MCC for a winning team. I just watch MCC because I like the games.
Yeah, that's a good way to go into it.
Plus, because of the island, I can now study games and how they play and just be better at them. Like, in MCCIG, I'm a god at build mart. Because
Yeah,
of how much I would watch of MCC build
you
mart.
you are the build mark go. Have you never fallen out of first yet?
No, I'm still first.
So
I
to finish things off, is there anything that you'd like to mention, Lux?
um I think this podcast is a really good idea.
Thank you.
Thank
Okay, thank you, thank you.
thank you for having me as your first guest.
No problem. It's my pleasure.
I think this could be something really cool and awesome, and I'm glad that I could provide some clarity on some like of the team building and how we do things behind the scenes. And
Yeah, thank you for all that.
I'm glad I could provide some information that will hype
Yeah,
you guys up.
yeah.
Do you want to plug
Everyone,
anything? Like plug your
yeah.
Twitch or anything?
Follow my Twitch, twitch.tv/Linux Live, please. I'm so close to 100 followers.
You heard that right,
Yep.
guys. Go follow her.
Yep. Go follow Lux, everyone. All right. Thank you, everyone that watches. This has been really fun to host. I hope we can do a lot more episodes of these. Goodbye, everyone.